Hello ladies and gentlemen, Soul here giving you another short review of a Westeros Total War submod. This one in particular is based around the end of the Dance of Dragons, which is the latest book in the Song of Ice and Fire trilogy. This of course means that there will be heavy spoilers for anyone that has not read the current Song of Ice and Fire books up to Dance of Dragons. If you have not read the books, I do not recommend downloading this mod until you have done so. This also means that the review itself will contain spoilers. I will of course try to water those spoilers down and minimize them to the point that I can, but unfortunately I cannot do this entirely spoiler free due to the entire submod being based around the end of the latest book in the series. So, assuming that you've already read the books, or some arsehole over the internet has already spoiled it for you, or you just don't care about spoilers, we'll get right into this. King Aegon Targaryen, the second child and only son of Prince Rhaegar, has landed in the Stormlands with the Golden Company at his command. Westeros has been scarred by the recent War of the Five Kings, and is ill-prepared for the return of House Targaryen. Meanwhile, the usurper Tommen Baratheon, a child king and spawn of incest, sits upon the Iron Throne. And the time will never be riper for Aegon to reclaim his birthright, with fire and blood. House Tyrell are one of the few houses in Westeros that emerged from the recent conflict of the War of the Five Kings completely unscathed, although their luck may soon change. Lord Mace Tyrell has married his daughter Margaery off to Tommen Baratheon, the king on the Iron Throne. This puts the Reach in a considerably powerful position, with strong military alliances with the Iron Throne, a military force to be feared, and considerable resources at their disposal. But all of this may not be enough to hold back the tides of enemies that are now at their borders. House Martell of Dorne have played a relatively neutral role in the recent conflict of the War of the Five Kings. Although, despite this neutrality, the leader of the Dornish armies, the Red Viper of Dorne, lays dead. With the arrival of Aegon Targaryen in the Stormlands, this leaves Dorne with a rather large opportunity to get revenge against the Lannisters. The Red Viper's brother, the Prince of Dorne, has sent his only daughter north into the Riverlands to meet with this Aegon Targaryen. If the tales of his identity are true, and he proves a true dragon, well, only time will tell. House Lannister has taken considerable losses in the recent War of the Five Kings, having lost many a battle against the late King of the North, Robb Stark. Although victory was achieved, it was done so with great loss. Many noteworthy members of House Lannister have met their fate at the end of a blade or a crossbow, leaving the house scarred, but far from weak. The Lannisters may have lost men, only a fool would underestimate them now. No doubt House Lannister will play an important role in the future of the realm. House Arryn of the Vale is hanging on by a fine thread. The current Lord Paramount of the Vale is Lord Peter Baelish, also known as Littlefinger. Acting as protector to young Robert Arryn, many Lords of the Vale have shown their disgust at his lordship, and have given him 1 year to prove himself. With the mysterious death of young Robert Arryn's mother, and the recent arrival of Lord Baelish's trueborn daughter, it is clear Baelish has something planned. House Frey, I have nothing to say to these treacherous bastards. House Manderly, I can never know if I'm pronouncing that right. Manderly? Fuck it. Anyway, House Manderly, they owe their very existence to House Stark. 1,000 years ago they ran from the Reach and their king. When they arrived at Moat Cailin in the north, the king in the north allowed them entry, and gave their pursuers the message that no king in the south will ever have authority over the north. Needless to say, they were grateful. We can only assume that they aided the Starks in the Bolton Rebellion that was going on during the time, and were later rewarded with Wolf's Den, now known as White Harbour, after the extinction of House Greystark, a cadet branch of House Stark that turned on Stark during the Bolton Rebellions. Once again, they stay loyal to the Starks of Winterfell, having sent Davos Seaworth to the island of Sarkos to find Rickard Stark. They eagerly await news of their return and the arrival of Stannis Baratheon to strike against the Bolton usurpers. There will be only one king in the north, and his name is Stark. House Bolton have been bitter rivals with the Starks of Winterfell for the title of King in the North since time began. The recent betrayal of the Starks is only one of Bolton's many treacherous antics. The current Lord of the Dreadfort is Roose Bolton, a cold and calculated man, with a stare that could make even the Kingslayer Jaime Lannister piss himself. Roose Bolton's recent betrayal of Robb Stark has granted him the title of Warden of the North. Although with Bolton's ambition, there is no doubt if he gains control over the North and his disloyal bannermen, he will claim the title that his family has sought for thousands of years, the King in the North. King Stannis Baratheon recently fled from Dragonstone, arriving north of the Wall to save the Night's Watch from a wildling invasion. While a few of the Lords of the North have pledged their allegiance to Stannis, many refuse to do so, either out of loyalty for the Starks, loyalty to Bolton, or fear that the Lannisters will execute their family members, should they hear that they have risen in rebellion against the Iron Throne once again. Although Stannis' cause may appear to be lost, his enemies' positions are no better off. The Boltons are surrounded on all sides by disloyal bannermen that will stab him in the back at the moment's notice. The Iron Throne is under siege from the dragons, and the Greyjoys pester everyone along the coast. And beyond the Wall, something stirs in the night. House Greyjoy is one of the only houses to come out of the War of the Five Kings unscarred. At least in the eye of their current leader. Their previous lord and king was Balon Greyjoy, who was mysteriously pushed off a giant bridge by some mysterious wind and was definitely not murdered. The Ironborn have since turned their attention south, with news from the Reach reporting that the Iron Fleet have taken the Arbor and the Shield Islands. Highgarden may be their next target. A good portion of the Iron Fleet seems to have moved across the Narrow Sea. It is not known what their intentions are, but no good can come from it. King Tommen Baratheon sits upon the Iron Throne, with his mother Cersei Lannister acting as Queen Regent. The realm's screwed, although she's currently indisposed, and the Hand of the King rules in her stead. Tommen is young, and ill-prepared to defend the realm against the threat that Aegon Targaryen poses. And the Queen Regent is no help either, pushing away all of her allies and endangering the realm. Thankfully, the Hand of the King will save us all. Varys, why are you pointing that crossbow at... Okay then, we'll end this here. I hope you've enjoyed this review / overhaul of the Winds of Winter submod. As always, I try to give you guys a little bit of backstory into all of the factions and let you decide for yourself whether or not it's for you. Please try to remember that most of these submods are still work in progress. This one in particular was only recently released and still needs quite the bit of work, but is still very enjoyable. You will find that for certain factions and certain units in those factions will not have the proper skins. Once again, work in progress, and it will be remedied soon. You'll find all the necessary links under the video in the description. That's all for now. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to give it a like, thumbs up, subscribe, etc, etc. You've been on YouTube long enough, you know the deal by now. That's all for now, guys. Soul out.